for right now?
Just watching and then.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to talk about Kingpin's introduction into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Had the Avery countdown count us in.
Thanks, Avery.
Yeah. We'll just get this out of the way quick since we want to talk hockey. There's COVID issues in hockey. Nothing, me and Cliffy don't want to talk about it, but it's in here. We're going to talk about it. Just deal with it. Unfortunately, it has to be discussed because there's a lot of games in jeopardy. But honestly, like at this point, man, it's been 2 years. Like it is what it is at this point, but it has to be mentioned because it's ripping through the NHL right now.
Yeah, that's obviously the big news of the day. There are at least, I think, there's one game already postponed, and I think there might be 3 more games that could be in jeopardy here tonight. We'll talk about those as we go along. First, we have to do a little slate review, and we actually should go back a couple slates because we did have that monster Tuesday slate with the 100K up top over on DraftKings. And Awesemo subscriber took it down. Cleary took down the 100K in the Peppermint on DraftKings. I didn't even know he was an Awesemo sub. He just popped in the next day and said, thank you very much.
He finished second too. So
yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, he also took down the 121 single entry. He had that entry in the 121 as well. So Cleary, an absolute monster 6-figure night for you. Congratulations on Tuesday night. That was just
how many 6-figure nights possible in NHL. So
see, that's the thing is like you might get 2 or 3 of them in a season, including the Fantasy Hockey World Championship. So an awesome job by Cleary. Good job on Tuesday night. But there was also some more. We had some more winners on Tuesday night. Not Awesemo popped in, said he took down the $15 for 20K on Tuesday night, also using Ottawa 1. That night we had Wolf Girl. She's really been crushing. She's really been grinding the lower stakes and starting to do a lot, starting to turn the season around as we're going on. Couple top 5 finishes in the dime time. We had Willie K 272 take down the $1.20 max on Tuesday as well. I think that was for $500. So congrats to him. And then last night, our good pal, Mr. G, Saul Goodman, took down the 20K $15 last night as well over on FanDuel. Hofbrau and our boss, Jake Harry, split top prize in the 444. They each won $3,500 for the top prize. So pretty good couple days here for our Awesemo subscribers. I even cashed last night, Josh, so I even won a little bit of money last night. I think it's a good sign. I think that even when you and I aren't winning, there are other people winning. So at least not everybody is getting dragged down together. And I think a lot of people, they watch our show, they take our advice, but I think a lot of people are really, they're making their own decisions. They're putting their tier lists in order, learning how to use Fantasy Cruncher, late swapping and all those types of things. And I think the hard work is really starting to pay off. Yeah.
Without sounding like an idiot, I feel like Morpheus, I can only show you the door. You're going to have to walk there. No, but honestly, listen, I love winning. Who doesn't love winning? But it does make me feel good when, we put that information out there on the show and other people, win. So I'm always about other people winning. I never want to, hate on other people's successes. You don't need those people in your life. You want to be surrounded by positivity. And even when I'm going through a cold stretch, which I am a little bit right now, seeing all these people win, it's really awesome. Thanking me, thanking you, thanking all the tools and stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. And, even Jake said he had been going through a little bit of a cold stretch recently, right? And I'm, one bank on FanDuel in the 444 is not enough to turn the whole season around, but it just shows that he's at least on the right track and that, if he keeps doing what he's doing, then, the profits will come. Great night. Clary, Willie, Wolf Girl, Not Awesemo, Saul, Hop, Jake, all you guys, really awesome stuff. Hopefully we can get some more winners in here tonight. We do have a big 10-game slate ahead of us. We are presented by Yahoo Fantasy. They have been our sponsor for the entire season. They've been very good to us. And if you're new to DFS, you want to get acclimated to, lineup construction and late swapping and all that stuff, we do have a little giveaway to get you a free month of Awesemo Plus through Yahoo if you haven't used them before. So check that out a little bit later. Be sure to click that thumbs up, give us a like, helps us look good for our bosses, and click that subscribe button. We are on our way to 69K, only 500 short. And make sure you click that bell to get notifications whenever we do go on the air. All right. We do have a large 10-game slate ahead of us. We have some free tools on the site that could help some people through this large 10-game slate that we have. We have our NHL player projections are free up on the site for anybody that wants to go check it out. And if you're playing NFL tonight, our Thursday night football player rankings are available, as well as our NBA player projections. So NBA, NHL, Thursday night football, we have you covered for tonight. Just be sure to check out what we have up on the site. And if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. I think you will enjoy all the tools that we have to offer here at Awesemo.com. All right, let's get to this first game. Montreal, 2.7, or Philly, 2.9 implied goal total. Sorry, going into Montreal, they have a 2.7 implied goal total. I mean, there's nothing else to say except the Habs are just absolutely going through it right now. They're just completely riddled with injuries. If you include Shea Weber and Carey Price, they have 9 regulars out of the starting lineup. That's almost half the team. You have 20 players in your starting lineup. It is very nearly half the team missing. It is simply too much depth. They have 3 of their top 6, 2 or 3 of their forwards in the top 6 are legitimate AHLers. It's just the way it is at this time of the year. We do have some new Flyers lines that we're going to have to deal with. Scott Lawton, obviously up on the top line with Philly, but Oscar Lindblom jumping to the second line with Giroux and Atkinson could be of interest. Jake Evans on the top line for Montreal with Hoffman and Suzuki. Montreal also expected to start Caden Primo, AHL goalie. He got called up. We'll say that he's not supposed to be like a career AHLer. They genuinely think he's supposed to be a goalie of the future. Goalies are what goalies are. What do you think of this game, Josh?
I mean, there isn't really much on the Montreal side that I don't think I'm going to have much Montreal, if any, even if I was playing 20 max. Like if I was 20 maxing tonight, I still probably wouldn't have Montreal. When you get into the 150s, and you fill out who you want to play, and if the optimizer gives you some at the end, you say, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? But like this really isn't a spot where I want to play any Montreal. So I'm probably going to be out there. I mean, if you want to one off Mike Hoffman, I think, I'll sound like a broken record with him. He gets it done on the power play. His power play shooting numbers are outrageous. How many power plays they're going to get tonight, I don't know. But I'm sure you could do worse than a Mike Hoffman one off of 4,400. I'm just not super interested in my 1 to 3. On the Flyer side, I said in chat before we went on the air that I don't know if I'm going to get to Flyers in 1 to 3, and I just need to clarify that I don't think I'm going to full stack anything from the Flyers 1 to 3. I think there are some pieces that I may consider. Couturier, Konechny, 2-man, a little like $100 over 10K for the 2 of them. I don't mind that. Scott Lawton doesn't do too much for me, so I don't think I'd full stack. The second line is of interest to me as well. They're not going to see, Suzuki, Evans, Hoffman. Not that is a line that you have to worry about. There isn't really a matchup on the Canadians that worry me, but you see these names going down the lineup, and some of them you don't even recognize. Doesn't mean that they're all, career AHLers, but if they were players that would be on the Habs, they would have came up earlier in the year before, half the roster went missing before they got the call. So you're going to assume, defensively, not the best. So I'm an Oscar Lindblom guy. He's been priced. You compare him with Atkinson, 6,600 for the 2 of them. Put in Provorov for a 3-man. Montreal takes a bunch of penalties. Their penalty kill is not bad. So I think, getting some power play correlation in there makes some sense. So either of the top 2 lines for the Flyers makes some sense for me. You want to one off James Van Riemsdyk, that's fine. But, I don't think I'm going to full stack anything from the Flyer side, and literally almost nothing on the Canadians.
Yeah, I'll just cover Philly real quick. I know we always talk about the top line not being as good with Giroux, and they're not, but they're still at a 55% shot attempt share and over 3 goals scored per 60 minutes. And I think that's perfectly fine against a really bad Montreal team here tonight. So I did write up Travis Konechny in the Power Plays article. It's free to read up on Awesemo.com. So I do like him and Couturier here tonight as a 2-man. What I will point out is the Montreal third line here. I don't like anything from the Habs at all, except that third line is of a little bit of interest to me. And this is why. Arturi Lehkonen has probably been their best winger this year. And I know that might sound like faint praise, but they do have good wingers like Tyler Toffoli, Brendan Gallagher. Those guys are good wingers. I think Arturi Lehkonen has played as well, if not better than them. And his numbers with Cole Caulfield this year, smaller sample, we're talking about 40 minutes, I think, but 57% shot shares and 63% of the scoring chances. And they're going up against an atrocious Philly third line. That Philly third line is under 40% shot share this year. They're just like abysmal. I think that Montreal third line, like a 2-man of Caulfield and Lehkonen, or just one-offing Lehkonen as like a super cheap one-off or something like that is just fine. I think Lehkonen is probably going to get overlooked. And even though he's lines up on the third line, he's not really a third liner. Like he has a bunch of games where he plays 15, 16 minutes, right? So I like Lehkonen as a one-off or a 2-man of him and Caulfield, but Philly won for me, the most out of this game is what I'm looking at. On the blue line, nobody really sticks out to me really on either side. I think Justin Braun at 3K is probably fine for me, like him and Sanheim at that 3K 3,200 range. Other than that, nothing. What do you think?
Agreed. There's nothing on the Montreal side that I really want to play.
All right. Like at all.
No.
All right.
At all.
At all. I guess I'll play all the Arturi Lehkonen for myself then tonight.
It's all you, big guy.
Ottawa 2.4 total going into Tampa. Tampa has a 3.5 implied goal total. Feels like deja vu because Ottawa had a 2.5 implied goal total going into Florida a couple days ago, and Florida had a 4 total and got absolutely bombed 8-2. I wonder what that's going to do to ownership here tonight. I've noticed, just anecdotally, I've noticed over the last couple of years, people aren't following game logs as closely anymore. It's more optimizing plays and stuff like that. So I don't think people will be chasing Ottawa so much here tonight. But that doesn't mean we might not play them, does it, Josh?
Here we are. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But we're going to have to see Tampa Bay lines here because they ended last game, Palat, Stamkos, Cirelli. And if Cirelli's up there on the top line, they're going to be getting the Senators' top line, Norris, Tkachuk, Batherson, who seemingly cannot be stopped. But, Cirelli up there makes that line much better defensively. Like, again, 1-3, like, fine. Batherson went absolutely crazy against the Panthers. I don't think I'm going to get there in 1-3. You want to have them in MME, that's perfectly fine. Like, if Cirelli for some reason is not on that line and they go back to Palat, Stamkos, Colton, then listen, I don't care what the total is. I'm going to have some Ottawa 1. It's just what's going to happen. But if Cirelli's up there, I'm probably not going to get to them. I want to take advantage of the Killorn, Colton, Joseph line. My boy Alex Formenton still min priced. Stützle on that line, looking like if you redraft his year, maybe should have went 1, but that's an argument for another time.
Yeah, we'll talk about that some other day.
Maybe I forget who else was in that draft. I just Lafreniere, whatever. But I do like the Ottawa second line going up against Tampa too. If you need some cheap fillers like a 2-man of Stützle, Formenton, I honestly think that's fine. On the Tampa side, I think it's Tampa power play. You work in the Tampa power play. I don't, really want to full stack anything. Ottawa's still bad defensively. They've been giving up a ton of goals since they came back. So I don't think I'd outright full stack anything on Tampa. I know they have a big total, and I just don't like their lines. I mean, maybe I consider Palat, Stamkos, Cirelli. I just worry that, Taylor Radish is going to take the power play time from Cirelli again. I don't know why they do that, but I think I'll work in some Tampa power play stacks.
Yeah, it's the Ottawa second line that I wanted to talk about is for the reason that you said. It's that if Anthony Cirelli is on the top line, it very much weakens that second line. I went and looked at Alex Killorn's numbers without Anthony Cirelli as his center this year. 68 shot attempts against per 60 minutes, 44% of the shot attempt share. They're bad. Not that Ottawa 2 is necessarily a great line, but we do have some expensive spots later in the slate, Edmonton, Colorado, that we might look towards, and we might need a real cheap stack. And that's where I think Ottawa 2 can definitely come into play. 8,400 as the 3-man. I don't think you have to 3-man stack him. I think just 2 is perfectly fine. So, 4-man in Stutzler or Connor Brown in Stutzler, whatever you want to do. Ottawa 2 is going to be my mix for a filler. I'm also out on Ottawa 1. I hate doing that because they just blew up, but I agree with you. If they're going up against Cirelli and Palat, I want absolutely nothing to do with them, especially where Tampa Bay's penalty kill have, something to be feared on most nights. On the blue line, Nikita Zaitsev definitely in play for me, but I also noticed Nick Holden and your boy, the Zoob, 21 plus minutes in the last game. It seems like Ottawa is basically going to a 4-man defensive rotation. Like Minnesota does that with like Dumba and Spurgeon, Brodin and those guys. They just basically play 4 defensemen. Maybe Ottawa's doing that. That would bring somebody like Zoob into play. Anybody on the blue line stick out to you?
Yeah, I like Zaitsev and Zoob. If you're playing Ottawa 1 in your mix, you want to throw in Chabot, that's fine. On the Tampa Bay side, Ryan McDonough's still under 4K without Chernak, so he's in play. You want to get Hedman in those power play stacks, perfectly fine. A little pricey, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it definitely is what it is these days. Los Angeles Kings, 2.5 implied goal total. They're going into Florida. The Panthers have a 3.4 implied goal total. This is one of the situations that we're going to have to watch for news. Florida has added 5 guys to the COVID list, I believe, among them Sam Bennett, Brandon Montour, and Carter Verhaeghe. And they're also going through some injuries on the blue line as well. Gustav Forsling and Aaron Ekblad look to both be game time decisions tonight. If all the defensemen are out that could be out, they might be out 5 of their 6 starting defensemen. That is significant, especially with Alexander Barkov still missing from the lineup. Like, yes, Florida's a good team, but no Barkov and no Verhaeghe essentially takes out their top line, and then they could be missing 5 out of 6 defensemen. That's significant here. I think I like Los Angeles a lot more than the Vegas odds makers do. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. So Reinhart moves to the top line center. That line is 3 wings on DraftKings. They're going to get Kopitar. And if you want to play Kopitar, Kempe, Brown, fine. Like, I'm not super excited about that. You want to do a Kopitar, Kempe 2-man, sure. But where I really like the Kings here is the Kings second line going up against Anton Lundell, Owen Tippett, Alexei Hepburn, assuming that's the line. We could get the 5 o'clock rolls around when teams have to report their afternoon COVID test. More people can join the list. But assuming that's the second line, like there's no reason why Philip Deneau, Alex Iafallo, Victor Arvidsson is not going to run them over. Especially, if Ekblad's out, that just moves everyone up, and that's just even worse. Like, so we honestly could be seeing like a second pair of Oli Juvali. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that. And like Lucas Carlson. Yeah, so like it could be Lucas Carlson going up against that second line with, Anton Lundell. We've talked about how he's, going to be the top 6 center, maybe even the top line center in the future. But defensively, he's not there yet. Owen Tippett, okay. Like the other guy who I butchered his name, probably not great defensively. And, if you take out per 60, if you're looking at offensive numbers, like Deneau, Arvidsson, Iafallo is up there with like the most expected goals. So I really like Kings too. Jake, we were talking with Jake earlier, and he said because all these players are in and out of the lineups, like the ownership numbers might be a little bit out of whack today. But they're coming in like 4 or 5%. Even if that comes up to like 7-8%, I really like LA too. And on the Florida side, I guess you could play that top line. there are wings if you want to do like a Huberdeau Reinhardt, but like it just feels too expensive. Like teams just going through it. I don't know. Like, yeah, they're probably going to see a ton of minutes, and that Kopitar line isn't what it was, but like it just feels like they're just like it just feels tough to get there. If you want to get there in MME, I think that's fine. 1-3, I'm probably going to take a pause on the Panthers. It actually makes me like Jonathan Quick and net here at 7K. So I like Kings too. Johnny Quick, maybe a little bit of that Florida top line.
Yeah, I will say the Florida top line is going to be, it's the only line I'm considering and stacking here tonight. I'm probably playing it single entry. I might get to 2 lineups. Florida top line is definitely going to be my mix, but I'm not as like I am excited to play them, but I'd rather them be perfectly correlated. And the reason is the Kings penalty kill, I think, is the area where they can really be had. And it's just a lot of broken correlation, like 2 guys on the top power play unit on the first line, 1 guy on each unit on the second line, 1 guy on each unit on the third line. You know what I mean? So like, I think the only piece of advice would be just stack the top line and hope that top power play event, 2 out of 3 of those guys do go off. But, we mentioned on the last show that Los Angeles's top line's defensive numbers have started to get better, not great, but started to improve. And with Iafallo jumping up onto that top power play unit with Arvidsson, that's 2 out of 3 guys on the top power play on that Kings 2 line. And I think that makes a big difference here, because it used to be just 1. Now it's 2. And, once you get, 2/3 correlation, you're almost guaranteed a point if they scored a power play goal. So I really do like that Kings second line, over 80 shot attempts for 60 minutes. I mean, they're just going to, if they play well tonight, they should be able to tear through the depth of Florida. So Kings second line, one of my favorite filler lines on the entire slate. Should note they booted Arthur Kaliev to the second power play unit. So he's a one-off that we had used at times. I don't think he's in play so much anymore. On the blue line, I don't like, there's nobody from the Kings that interests me unless I'm playing Doughty in a Kings power play stack or something like that. So I'm not going to talk about them. On the Florida side, if Ekblad's out, Mackenzie Weegar is going to play 30 minutes. And even if Ekblad is in, somebody like, if Gustav Forsling's in, he's probably going to play 25 minutes. Whichever Florida defenseman is in tonight, I'm probably going to end up playing. Like, I'm not just going to slam him at 7,500 Ekblad, but if Forsling or Carlson are in, I'm playing them.
Yeah. I mean, even if Ekblad's in, Weegar may play 30 minutes. So like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So like, Weegar definitely is in play as a one-off for me. We'll have to see on Ekblad. Even if he's in, we don't know if it's like a non-COVID illness or an injury. They didn't really specify. I don't know if I want to drop 7,500 on a player that's not 100%. So Weegar's the guy. If there's a cheap, if Forsling's in, like 3,600, I like it. This is just one of those games you're going to have to pay attention throughout the day to see how it evolves.
Yeah, I'll just say Lucas Carlson might be a good punt because, if they have some defensemen out, he has to get minutes. They just have no one else to give them to. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Discord, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. That's NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, let's get to this next game. Vegas, 3.3 implied goal total. They're going into New Jersey. The Devils have a 2.7 implied goal total. You and I have talked a lot about how bad Jack Hughes has looked since he's returned from his injury there a couple weeks ago. Playing with Pavel Zacha, they're only up to about 50 minutes, 47 minutes. It's not a lot, but it's getting there. 37% shot share, 42% of the scoring chances. They are getting absolutely demolished That's probably not good considering they get one of the best lines in hockey as their matchup here tonight. I think it's pretty obvious what I like. What do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I love Vegas one tonight. And,
Yeah.
I hope Max Pacioretty's price scares people off. But if you take the name away and just look at his stats on the season, he should be more expensive. So, like, Chandler Stevenson on the power play with him under 4K and Stone only being 5,500 makes that line pretty reasonable. Devils take a bunch of penalties too. They got a decent penalty kill, but they take a lot of penalties. So you give that line a bunch of chances on the power play at 5-on-5. They're probably going to cash in. So Vegas one for me. You want to go to the Carlson line? I mean, that's fine. I much prefer Vegas top line. I talk about it almost every time they play. Vegas 2 always over leveraged because of their price and full correlation. But if you look at their ownership right now, it's kind of in check. Maybe we'll get a run later in the day when, the player pool is a little bit more finalized and we'll see where it goes. But for me, this is a Vegas one game. And then on the Devils, like in 1 to 3, I'm probably not going to stack anything. Like you just mentioned how bad Hughes has been with Zacha. If you want to go to Andreas Janssen, Mercer, Tatar, I guess that's fine. Like they're super cheap. They're coming in under 1% right now. So they could be a decent filler in MME, but in 1 to 3, I don't think I'm getting to anything on the Devils.
Yeah, it's Vegas one that I love here. And you're right about Pacioretty. His shot rate this year, he's landing 19 shot attempts per 60 minutes on goal. No other player in the league is at 15. It is absolutely crazy what he's doing. He's shooting about 10% more than anybody else in hockey. Like, he's very justified for his price. It's the matchup that draws me. Going into Zacha and Hughes, that if that line doesn't, all of a sudden become considerably better tonight than they have been the rest of the season, they're going to get steamrolled by this Vegas top line. I'm out on Vegas too because they're going into that New Jersey second line. And I think that New Jersey second line is a pretty good matchup. Like, I think Vegas and New Jersey too, I think they're both in play because they're both good lines and I think they can both score, but I'm not in on either of them because I think it's a tough matchup on both sides. I think the matchup in this game is Vegas 1, and I don't think it's really particularly close. I always worry when I get this excited about playing a line because it feels like I'm missing something. It's like they're getting good leverage, reasonable price, high total, low ownership, all this stuff, good matchup. And it's like, okay, how am I going to get screwed? Like, you ever see the movie The Big Short where the guy's like, how are you screwing me on this? That's what I feel like saying to DK right now. Okay,
you know what it is?
I'll play Vegas 1. How am I getting screwed here?
On Tuesday, if you take out the Ottawa Senators, Vegas 1 could have been the optimal. And the funny thing is, Stevenson and Stone combined for 0 shots on goal.
Yeah, they're just feeding patches. Yeah. So
that's the one thing that worries me.
Yeah, I can see
Stone
that.
and Stevenson just are not shooting. It's all Pacioretty.
Maybe 2-man like Stone Pacioretty or Stevenson Pacioretty or something. You don't necessarily have to have all 3, but yeah, I just absolutely love that top line here tonight. One of my favorite lines on the slate. Probably nothing for me stacking wise on the New Jersey side. Let's just get right to the defenseman then, because I don't think I'm going to be stacking anything from the Devils. I will say I like their second line the best. I think that line is their best 5-on-5 line by far, but it's a tough matchup going into that Vegas second line. So, buyer beware. On the blue line, I smack talked Shea Theodore in the last game, and he went out and scored, of course. But his price is all the way down to $5K on DraftKings. I find that really hard to ignore, even if he hasn't performed to his level this year.
Yeah, and he correlates with that Vegas top line. So, you know what to do there. Devil side, not really too much for me. Maybe top line Ty Smith. Like, Ty Smith defensively has been a train wreck this season. But if he's going to see those minutes with Dougie Hamilton getting a little bit of power play time, like, I don't mind punting it there.
Yep. All right. Detroit, 2.3 implied goal total going into Carolina. The Hurricanes have a 3.2 implied goal total. This is another one of the games we're going to have to watch out for. I suppose the good thing is that Carolina, most of their games had been starting at 7:30 Eastern. They moved this one to 7 Eastern. So at least it's starting at lock with the rest of them. So if there's any funny business, we should know beforehand. But Carolina is missing Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, some more players off the COVID list, and they don't have the cap space to call anybody up. So they're going with 10 forwards here tonight. That means the top line of Trocheck, Niederreiter, and Natchez, they're going to play 20 minutes plus here tonight. That's a given. The second line of Fast, Kotkaniemi, and Teravainen might not honestly be far behind either, because you only have 10 forwards. You kind of have to play 3 lines 20 minutes each or thereabouts. So, like, as much as I don't want to play Carolina because they're missing a lot of bodies, it is a lot of minutes to pass up. For, a lot of these players are reasonably priced. Like, that second line is 10K flat. So, like, we do have to consider them here.
That top line is 11K flat too. And they're fully correlated, and they get, 20, 23 minutes against the Wings. So, like, yeah, like, probably my favorite filler. It is worth noting, they could get more COVID positives back during the day. But
I should say they did all their tests came back negative last night and this morning. So that's 2 straight negative tests for the entire team. So they might be out of the woods, but of course anything can change by the hour here.
Like, normally Carolina, when they're fully healthy, would send out the top line against, bottom 6 here, but I'm not really sure how they're going to match it. Not that it matters. Like, Larkin, Raymond, Bertuzzi is pretty high event. Suter, Zadina is pretty good, but, not great. And then that third line is just so, like, there's not a matchup that really concerns me.
Yeah, Michael Rasmussen's hurt, so that's one of their matchup guys gone.
Yeah, so, like, Carolina won. It is what it is. You want to go to that second line for 1,000 less? Sure. I mean, like, Teravainen's fine there, I really do like Carolina one, and I also really like Ned because of it. In GPPs, you talk about these guys, high shot volume, makes you like the opposing goalie in GPPs as well. So Carolina one, Ned. I guess maybe some Detroit one, but I'm not super high on Detroit tonight, despite all the COVID stuff.
Yeah, I want to mention that Carolina top line because it does seem kind of like a mishmash of players, Niederreiter, Trocheck, and Natchez, but they actually have a huge sample of minutes together. They've played a long, long time together. Just over the last 2 seasons, it's over 400 minutes. 56% shot share and 31 scoring chances per 60 minutes. Those are pretty good numbers for that line. So I do like that top line here from Carolina. They're coming in at high ownership, like 11%. I feel like that's probably right. You know what I mean? Like you said, they're so cheap and they're going to get so many minutes. I understand that ownership. But there are a lot of expensive spots where you can use them. Edmonton, Colorado. I mean, I think you could probably figure out something with Boston and get expensive if you wanted. I think there are some spots where you can easily get different. So I do like that Trocheck line a lot here. I think a 2-man of like Kotkaniemi down on the second line can make some sense here, like Kotkaniemi fast or something like that, just a super cheap 2-man. Kotkaniemi and Teravainen do have good numbers together this year, over 50% shot share. So they could do something against the Detroit Death, but this is a Carolina one game for me. I also do like Detroit one. I do. There's no matchup on the Carolina side that would necessarily worry me other than the Trocheck line, and they're not going to see much of them. And Carolina takes a ton of penalties, and they're missing some penalty killers. I do like that that Detroit top line here tonight. So I do like both top lines. I'm not Xing either of them out. They're both going to be in consideration for me. If you're going to ask me which one I like the most in a tournament, it would be Detroit one, just because I want to get some leverage. On the blue line, Philip Hronek has been playing more minutes than Moritz Seider of late, but he's not shooting and he's not blocking shots. He's playing those Mikey Anderson minutes. You know what I mean? Oh man, I just locked in like 18 DK points for him tonight. Tony D, almost 6K, feels really expensive considering all the pieces that Carolina is missing. Who sticks out to you on the blue line?
I mean, if you're worried about Carolina one ownership, throw in Tony D into that stack. Overpriced Tony D. Yeah. He'll lower that 4-man down a lot. Jacob Slavin playing a ton of minutes. Brett Pesce also back, 2,900. That's a good punt as well.
All right. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you've played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up right away. You can also receive up to $100 first match deposit bonus with Yahoo as part of their 12 days of winning. It features daily contests with a guaranteed payout for everyone in the pool. Use promo code XMAS100, that's XMAS and the number 100, with your first deposit, capital XMAS, by the way, to receive up to $100 match deposit bonus and enter Yahoo's featured 12 Days of Winnings contest now. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Thank you very much, Yahoo. You've been very good to us. Hopefully we can keep being good to you in return. All right, Boston, 2.7 implied goal total. Going into New York, the Islanders have a 2.8 implied goal total. This is another situation where a game could get postponed. Boston already missing Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Craig Smith from COVID protocols, and then they added Anton Bleed, Jeremy Swayman, and another player, like a depth player this morning. And I think they have at least one coach in COVID protocols as well. So it's at least 7 or 8 people, and we're waiting on more tests here in a couple hours. So this is definitely one that could get postponed. With that said, what do you like here in this game, Josh?
Man, like, I just don't want to play the Islanders, but you look at this Boston depth tonight, it's just brutal. Maybe Anders Lee, JG Pajot, Palmieri, assuming Nelson Beauvillier, Bailey, Coyle, Hall, Pasternak, because the second line for Boston is Jake DeBrusk, Jack Studnicka, and Oscar Steen.
Two HLers and Jake DeBrusk.
Who? You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm like running to my phone to put jam in Anders Lee, JG Pajot, Palmieri, but like, who? You know what I mean? Like, they're coming in at like 1%. I think, Lee, Palmieri, Pajot makes some sense. Like, the Islanders haven't looked great recently, but I don't know. I kind of like that line tonight. I also like Nelson Beauvillier. They at least have history together, like a long history together. So, that Boston one isn't Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak. It's Coyle. So I think you can get to that top line as well. I don't know if I'm going to get to the Islanders 1 to 3, but like even in 5 to 10, I think I'll have the Islanders top 6 in my mix. On the Boston side, the Islanders have been pretty poor defensively, but like this seems like a one-line team tonight. So, I mean, like, I really want to play Sorokin tonight at 7,100 at home, but I have legitimate shot volume concerns. Maybe, Pasta's just like, get on my back. I'm going to carry the team, but like, I don't know. There's not much on Boston I really like.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying about shot volume concerns, but it's still a $7,100 goalie at home. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those don't come by very often, and obviously he's priced with Bergeron and Marchand and all those guys expected in the lineup. So like, yeah, I don't mind Sorokin tonight. One thing I'll say about David Pasternak is I went and looked at his numbers when he plays without either Bergeron and Marchand, and they're not good. 50% shot share, 49% of the scoring chances. When he plays with Taylor Hall without Bergeron, they're under 50% shot share. Like, I don't know what's going on, but they don't play well together. I do like the Islanders top line here tonight. I'm not going to slam in like a 2.8 total in my single entry. I don't think, you know what I mean?
That's the problem. Yeah.
Right. I just don't think it's really a great spot for slamming a line. Like, I think in this game, I'd be more inclined to play like a one-off Lee or a one-off, even Noah Dobson on the blue line or something like that. Let's just get right to defensemen. I do like Noah Dobson here, averaging nearly 3 shots and 2 blocks per game over his last 10 games or something like that. So Dobson at 4,900 is fine. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Dobson. On the Boston side, if you want a min-price punt, I think Brandon Carlo is fine. Other than that, nothing much that I like.
I'm sure you're going to like something in this game. Colorado, 3.3 implied goal total going into Nashville. The Predators have a 2.7 implied goal total. This is another one of the games that we have to watch for. So the three games I think we have to watch for are Florida, Boston, and Nashville. Nashville's missing their entire top line. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Ryan Johansson out, Michael Granlund out. Their top two centers are out. Matt Duchene also out. Philip Tomasino also out. So that's 4 players out of their top 9, including their 2 top centers. That is a lot of talent missing. And of course, they could have more players out when they get their COVID test back here in a few hours. That seems to tell me that Colorado is going to be pretty popular here tonight, Josh. What do you think?
Yeah, you mean top center Luke Cunning's not going to slow down McKinnon tonight? Like,
I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Colorado one tonight. Like, I also would want to like Colorado too, but my arch nemesis JT Compher's there, but he is power play 1, I think, unless Burakovsky is on the top power. But regardless, Colorado won. One of my favorite plays tonight. Their ownership is really low, which I don't buy. Like, they're going to be probably one of
the one thing I'll say is I can see them being a pretty good leverage because Edmonton's at home to Columbus, and I think a lot of people are going to play Edmonton. So I think Colorado will be higher owned than 5%, but I don't think they're going to be like 15 or 20% or something like that.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be higher owned than Nashville one, who's coming in right now at 7%. So so Nashville or ownership a little bit out of whack here, but Colorado one, definitely one of my favorite plays of the night. You want to go to Colorado too? Honestly, that's fine. Like Kadri Compher, Nichushkin, they're getting, Yakov, Trennan, Colton Sissons, Taylor Janot. So, not much on the Nashville side that I like. Maybe, Yossi plays 43 minutes tonight and you can play him, but that's really about it for me.
Yeah, I wrote up Yossi in the Power Plays article, and my reasoning is this. With Nashville missing all those players, I think they're probably going to lose tonight. I don't think that's, really breaking any new ground. But if Nashville wins tonight, it's probably on the backs of huge games from either Roman Yossi or Jussi Saros, if not both Yossi and Saros, right? So that's why I kind of like Yossi in this game. It's like if Nashville scores 3 or 4 goals here tonight, I have a pretty good feeling Yossi's going to figure into a lot of them. So I think Yossi is one of my favorite one-off defensemen on the entire slate, but I'm with you. For stacking, I like Colorado 1, Colorado 2. Either of those lines are just fine with me. Personally, I like Colorado 2 here tonight because that Nashville second line has not been good this year. We're talking like 47, 48% shot and scoring chance shares. Compher and Kadri are both on the top power play unit now. And Kadri at least isn't priced in the 7Ks anymore. And Compher is under 4K. So it's a pretty reasonably priced line. And Valeri Nichushkin he's been on a little bit of a tear of his own of late as well. So I like Colorado 2 a lot here going into a weak Nashville second line. As I mentioned on Nashville, I like Yossi. Don't mind Saros as a goalie here either. We have Odd Shopper up on the site. And if you guys haven't heard of Odd Shopper, it's a great tool to use for bettors to go shopping for the best line that you can possibly find for money lines, for prop bets, what have you. It's for American bettors. You can go and look anywhere that is legal to play where you're playing. You can shop your lines and get the best line possible to make the most money that you can. And the best part is that it's free up on Awesemo. So please check out Odd Shopper up on Awesemo. Will help us out a lot, and I'm sure it'll help you guys out with your betting as well. Make sure you get the best lines possible. You don't want to be leaving money on the table. All right, we have 3 games left. Let's get through these games. Buffalo, 2.3 implied goal total. They're going into Minnesota. The Wild have a 3.8 implied goal total. It is the largest on the slate. I noticed through our first ownership runs, the Minnesota ownership was not very high, coming in around that Colorado area, around 4 or 5%. It stayed there throughout the day. We'll see if it comes up in our latest ownership run. But like you said, with so many guys across the league in and out of the lineup, it's really hard to rely on. But I think Minnesota 1's probably going to come in around 10%, maybe a little bit higher here tonight. I still think they're worth playing. But I think there are other players worth playing down the lineup in Minnesota as well. So what do you like here, Josh?
Yeah, I like all 3 lines for Minnesota tonight. I'll just start there. I'll start with the checking line. They're going to get Tage Thompson, Olofsson, Skinner. And as good as Tage Thompson, Skinner, Olofsson have been offensively this season for the Sabres, they have really fallen off defensively here. Again, I think, Joe Eriksson Ek makes for a good one-off. You want to do a really cheap two-man, Greenway, Foligno, I think that's fine. But for me, like Kaprizov, Hartman, Zuccarello, one of my favorite spots of the night. They're going to get the Cousins, Okposo, Murray line, which is like the only Sabres line that barely can tread water. But again, Hartman, Kaprizov's numbers together are just absolutely insane. Like they're borderline matchup proof. So I really do like Minnesota one here. If you even want to dip down to that third line, do like a Fiala, Freddie Gaudreau two-man, I think, there's going to be almost no ownership there as well. And they're going to get, Zegmis Gergensons, of the world. So, we're always crying to get Fiala some line mates, but honestly, Freddie Gaudreau is, I don't want to say like great, but like he's definitely underrated as a player.
Yeah. I like Gaudreau. He was good for Pittsburgh last year. Good for Minnesota again this year. I'm going to keep watching that Minnesota ownership, and as long as it doesn't get into like the teens, I think Minnesota one is probably my favorite stack on the entire slate here tonight. They're going to get the way Minnesota ships out their lines, like you said. They're going to get some depth matchups here from Buffalo, and there are no depth matchups to concern yourself with. So Minnesota, absolutely my favorite line in this game, one of my favorite lines on the entire slate. I did write up Freddie Gaudreau in the Power Plays article for the reasons that you mentioned, is that he's a big upgrade from Remy Pitlick on that third line for Kevin Fiala. And I think it makes a difference having him there as opposed to that rotation of mediocre or worse wingers that they've had for most of the season. So Gaudreau lost his power play status, which kind of sucks, but the team should be able to, that line should be able to generate a lot of shots against Buffalo depth. So I do like a Gaudreau Fiala Rask two-man. Gaudreau Fiala Rask, like two-man, something out of that. I don't mind that, but a full stack, I really like Minnesota one here tonight. On the blue line, Colin Miller, I think, has been playing pretty well for Buffalo this year. I just worry about his minutes sometime. Alex Goligoski at 3,200 at home for Minnesota really tickles my fancy. What do you think?
Yeah, Alex Goligoski, Jonas Brodin, Jared Spurgeon. And I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the 6,700 Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. For that price, you got to consider it in GPPs.
That's the thing, is like if you're getting to the expensive Colorados and Edmontons and all that, and you need a super cheap goalie, a 6,700 DK goalie, tough to go worse. And we've seen goalies pull that out. Remember that Vejmelka 50 save performance earlier this year or whatever it was. It can happen. I don't think I'm going to be playing UPL tonight. I'll just say that right out of the gate. All right, let's move this along. Columbus. They're going into Edmonton. Columbus has a 2.6 implied goal total. Edmonton has a 3.5 implied goal total. Columbus just recently changed up their lines. They reunited that second line. I think it was Nyquist, Sillinger, and Chinnikov. Maybe it might technically be their third line now or something like that. Roslovic, Domi, and Voracek still together. Gregory Hoffman out on the top line for Columbus as well, so he's going to be scratched. On the Edmonton side, looks like they're running back the same lines that they had last game. At least that's what we have right now. That Edmonton top line with Puljujärvi there, pretty good defensively, like much better defensively than without him. I think there's something to like on both sides of this game. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like when we talk about Edmonton one, we're like, oh yeah, they generate a ton of chances, but they also give up a ton. But with Foegele and Puljujärvi there, those are probably two of their best defensive wingers. So, that takes me out on Columbus one tonight. You can start going down the lineup here, and if you like, Sillinger, Chinakhov, I think that's two-man you can play if they're going to get Draisaitl or Derek Ryan, or even Domi Roslovic. Like I prefer Domi Roslovic. They're going to get depth matchups as well. They're both on the second power play. They're 5,800 for the two of them. You can pair them with Jake Bean for a three-man, cheap filler stack there. And I like that there. On the Edmonton side, again, it's going to be a power play thing for me. You want to stack Focal, McDavid, Puljujarvi? I think that's fine. But for me, I'm going to do something like Puljujarvi, Draisaitl, McDavid, Puljujarvi, Nugent Hopkins, something like that. Like you can even just flat out power play stack them tonight. If you want to leave off Barry, that's fine. With Puljujarvi being 3,600, Nugent Hopkins only being 5,100, McDavid and Draisaitl salary isn't going to kill you. So, you can get all four of them in there pretty easily. You want to throw in Barry for 5,200, go for it. Not something that I really want to do. But again, Edmonton side, you want to full stack the top line, fine. Otherwise, power play stack.
Yeah, what's worrying me for Edmonton, I know we say ownership rate isn't super important, but the first and second lines, we had them coming in at nearly 45% owned combined. When nearly half the field is playing one team on a 10-game slate, that's kind of the point where I say, yeah, I'm not playing you in single entry. And I think that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm playing one, maybe two lineups. Edmonton's in a great spot. It's why they have a 3.5 goal total. I think the top line is where I would go. McDavid, Puljujarvi, and like you said, mix in an RNH or a Draisaitl or something like that. But if half the field is going to play Edmonton or close to, 40% of the field is going to play Edmonton, I'm going to fade Edmonton in my 1 to 2 lineups. That's just what I'm going to do. And if Edmonton sinks me, well, I'll just go ahead and play DFS again tomorrow. Like that's just, people were talking about fading Ovechkin on a 3-game slate yesterday. Like if you're fading Ovechkin on a 3-game slate, you have to strongly consider fading McDavid on a 10-game slate coming in at 25 to 30% or whatever. So I do like Edmonton. I'm just saying at the ownership rates we have them, I'm not going to be playing them here tonight. I really do like the Columbus second line, that Sillinger-Chinnikov duo. I guess they'd technically be the third line. They're going to get the third, fourth lines from Edmonton. We talked in our last show about them. Absolute, atrocious isn't even an appropriate word for the Edmonton third and fourth lines. I don't know if they're AHL caliber. They're that bad. So I really do like that Chinnikov-Sillinger duo if you need a cheap duo to stack with your more expensive Colorados or what have you here tonight. On the blue line, Jake Bean averaging over 26 minutes a game his last 3 games. Obviously, Adam Bockfist is out. They have their injuries, so that's why. But if he's playing that many minutes at 3,500, I'm definitely interested. What do you think?
Yep, I'm always a Jake Bean guy. So as long as he's playing with Rowensky and his price is reasonable, I'm in on the Bean. On the Edmonton side, I think, Nurse and Bouchard makes some sense. But other than that, not really looking to punt Duncan Keith or Cody Ceci.
Yeah, me neither. Even though they did play 23 minutes last game. I mean, come on. Yeah. We only have a few minutes left. Before we get out of here, if you guys could, please like and subscribe. The subscriptions especially really help us look good for our bosses. Click that bell if you want to get notified when we do go on the air. And thank you to Yahoo for sponsoring us here. In fact, there's another Yahoo show coming up right after us. The Yahoo NFL Thursday Night Live show with Kaufman and Greg is coming up next. They're followed by the Jock Market Thursday Night Live show with Eitan and Eric. And then our NBA Double Dose starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then the NFL Live Before Lock at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. All right. Final game to get to. Vancouver, 2.7 implied goal total. Going into San Jose, the Sharks have a 2.9 implied goal total. Vancouver all clear with their COVID test yesterday. That's why they traveled to America. I imagine we'll find out more about their COVID test today, but for now they're in the clear. Timo Meier back on the top line with Logan Couture, and there's a guy on the second line for San Jose. I feel like I know the NHL pretty well. I've legitimately never heard of him. I like the Pettersson Garland line a lot here tonight. I think you do too. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, assuming the Couture line sees Horvat or Miller, Pettersson Garland's going to see Hurdle. And, without Timo Meier there, and God knows who this guy is. I don't know who he is either. Their defensive numbers, even without him, have been, bad. So Pettersson Garland, Podkolzin makes some sense. They're almost getting no ownership right now. They're fully correlated on the second unit. I really like that line tonight, especially at that ownership. So that's the line I'm looking at. If you want to go to the Sharks top line, I think that's fine. But, their ownership is a little bit higher than I want them to be.
Yeah, I will say flat out in this game, what I like the most is that Pettersson Garland duo, 54% of the shots, 52% of the scoring chances, depth from San Jose. I think they're definitely in that mix, that filler mix for some more expensive stacks. On the blue line, Vancouver's played OEL, Myers, and Hughes all over 26 minutes in their last game. Probably going to be a lot of minutes for those guys again. What do you think on the blue line here, Josh?
Yeah, Tyler Myers, 3,800. I'd rather play him over OEL. And, Quinn Hughes is fine as well. I think I'd rather play Tyler Myers.
Yeah, I don't mind Myers as a one-off here either. All right, we do have to get out of here because that NFL show is coming up next. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies here tonight. My hat trick pick is Kevin Fiala, and my goalies are Mackenzie Blackwood, Ilya Sorokin, Jussi Saros. Where's my head at? Jussi Saros, also a goalie. Who you got, Josh?
Just to add on to your goalies, I like the ones you mentioned. I also like Johnny Quick. Also don't mind Robin Leonard if for a pay-up option. I also like Ned. And my hat trick pick's going to be Victor Arvidsson.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Ned. I like him as well for his price. All right, Victor Arvidsson and Kevin Fiala are your hat trick picks for tonight. We got to get out of here. NFL up next. For producer Mike, for Josh, this is Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.